Yeah.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen you smile like this, Mr. Milner.
It feel good, feel great.
How does it feel to finally get the truth, Miss Heath?
It feels good.
Mr. Milner and Ms. Heath's story is a whirlwind of emotions and uncertainties. Mr. Milner claims that Ms. Heath deceived him into believing that he fathered her 3-month-old son, Zachario Milner Jr. But hold on tight, because Ms. Heath admits there was another man involved. She also argues that since Mr. Milner signed the birth certificate, there's no need for a paternity test. Talk about a complicated situation.
Mr. Milner, you claim the defendant, Ms. Heath, deceived you into believing that you fathered her 3-month-old son, Zachario Milner Jr.
Yes,
you
John.
say you love her son and would be devastated to find out that you've been loving another man's child, which is why you have petitioned the court to order a paternity test. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Milner tells us that he feels deceived because he was upfront about wanting a family. He shared his dream of being a family man, and he thought Ms. Heath saw him as an easy target. As soon as he expressed his desires, he felt she was ready to take advantage of him. But Ms. Heath denies these accusations and insists she genuinely wanted a family too.
I feel like she been deceiving me because when I first met her, I told her straight up what I want. And that is, I want a family. I want to be a family man. I'm done reading the streets. I'm really tired of that. And I feel like at the time, as soon as I said that, the light came up above her head like, bing! I got me a duck, you heard me? I'm finna go ahead and pluck this man for whatever I can. And that's why I'm here. I really need this test.
The story of how they met is quite interesting. Mr. Milner was new to Texas, having just moved from Louisiana, and met Ms. Heath through mutual friends. They quickly formed a bond, and within a few days, they decided to be in a committed relationship. Everything seemed perfect until Ms. Heath announced she was pregnant just 2 weeks into their relationship.
So I think I understood that testimony.
That is true.
So you met, you exchanged numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, I get to talking to him. I get to feeling him out a little more. And I felt like he was intelligent, like he wanted something out of life. You know, I had seen something in him that I thought, you know, that we could make something out of this.
Ms. Heath explains that she felt the pregnancy almost immediately, as she did with her other children. However, Mr. Milner started having doubts because of how quickly it all happened. To make matters worse, his family members fueled his suspicions. He couldn't believe that she was already pregnant just 2 weeks after they met.
What happens? You find out you're pregnant.
Okay, well, like I was intimate with Mr. Milner. I felt, you know, normally with all my kids, I felt it almost immediately when I was pregnant, you know, and I kind of had these bodily feelings. Me and Mr. Milner were joking about, you know, what if you are, what if you're not? And I'm just like, I don't want to be, you know, I got 3 kids, I don't need another one, you know, this was not.
When the condom broke during their first intimate encounter, Mr. Milner knew there was a chance he could be the father, but his doubts persisted, especially after Ms. Heath broke down and confessed that she wasn't sure about the baby's paternity. Ms. Heath later admitted that sometimes she did not use condoms with the other man.
You're proud of that, huh?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry about that.
So, Mr. Milner, I want to understand this. Why do you have doubt?
After everything done happened, we got us an apartment. She sitting there, we watching TV, her head is in my lap. Me and her is talking real well. Next thing I know, she just bust out the tears. I mean, just go straight to crying. I don't know if the baby yours or not. Ooh.
That is not.
Ms. Heath's past relationships added more confusion. She admitted there was another man before Mr. Milner, but she insists she was always honest with him. Mr. Milner, on the other hand, kept calculating the dates and the timelines just did not add up. He needed the paternity test to find peace of mind.
I thought you all were in a committed relationship.
It happened prior to Mr. Milner. That's why I don't understand it. I understand his doubt, but I don't understand the fuel to his fire is like I cheated on him. I did not.
Oh, so you're saying it could be to another guy before him?
But prior to him. So I went ahead and told him because I've never lied to Mr. Milner.
Despite the mess, Mr. Milner signed the birth certificate because he desperately wanted a family and hoped the baby was his. The court decided there was enough evidence to warrant a DNA test. Mr. Milner stated that if the baby wasn't his, he would not stay in the relationship.
And the closest man to it is me? No, the closest man to it
okay,
is
but I use condoms.
That means he did his thing.
I used condoms prior to Mr. Milner. I even contacted that gentleman.
You even told me that condom broke. You told me that condom broke.
Made sure.
Did you not tell me that the condom broke on your
I never said the condom broke.
So
when did I say that? No, I did not.
Stop.
The court then heard a statement from an employee who confirmed that Ms. Heath had admitted to inconsistencies regarding condom use. This further complicated the situation. Ms. Heath was also involved with a married man, which added more drama to the case. She didn't want to believe that the married man could be the father either.
Did you ever tell the other man that he could be the biological father?
No, man. When I called him, I strictly asked him about the condom. Period, point blank. He was like, no, you made sure that I used condoms. He was like, so I should, he was like, we stopped messing around before this, all of this transpired. And he said that nothing happened with the condom.
Finally, the moment of truth arrived. The DNA results were prepared, but before revealing them, Judge Lake asked if Mr. Milner was ready for the outcome. The tension was palpable as everyone awaited the results. Mr. Milner expressed his hopes and fears, making it clear how much he cared for Zacario Jr. The episode ends with the anticipation of the life-changing results.
Mr. Milner, you are the father. Oh, wow. I haven't seen you smile like this, Mr. Milner.
It feel good, feel great.
It feels good. It's closure. I can live my life peacefully and we can be happy how we were.
Mr. Fisher and Ms. Doyle's story is a roller coaster of emotions and heartbreak. Mr. Fisher claims he made the biggest mistake of his life by signing the birth certificate for 2-month-old Sophia. But hold on tight, because Ms. Doyle admits she cheated on Mr. Fisher and now prays that he is Sophia's father. Talk about a tense situation.
Mr. Fisher, you claim you made the biggest mistake of your life by signing the birth certificate for 2-month-old Sophia. You say your fiance dropped a bomb on you just 1 month ago and admitted you may not be her father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fisher tells us that Ms. Doyle dropped a bomb on him, admitting that she cheated and that Sophia might not be his. He loves both Ms. Doyle and Sophia dearly, but the revelation shattered his world. He describes the first month of Sophia's life as blissful, only to have his joy ripped apart by doubt and betrayal.
I love Brittany, and I love Sophia to death. They're my world, but she lied to me. She kept the truth from me, and it kills me. I hope I am Sophia's father. I love her to death. That's my baby.
So you say you love her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell me what you feel?
Sorrow, pain, everything. It all hurts bad.
Mr. Fisher recalls how he fell in love with Ms. Doyle, describing their relationship as perfect until the cheating incident. Ms. Doyle, on a vacation, received a text claiming Mr. Fisher was unfaithful. Distraught, she sought comfort from a stranger, leading to a one-night stand. This act of revenge was based on a falsehood, and now both face the consequences.
Well, when me and one of her family members met, we became best friends. Like, we was close like this. He took me around her, and I just fell for her. And ever since then, I've loved her. She's beautiful. Her eyes, amazing. Her body, she's gorgeous. And she treats me like a man wanted to be treated, all the way up until this happened.
Ms. Doyle admits that the guilt of her actions has been eating at her. She describes how Mr. Fisher proposed to her, unaware of her infidelity. She accepted his proposal despite knowing the baby might not be his. The emotional weight of her secret made the joyous moment bittersweet, and now she hopes the truth will not destroy their bond.
What happens in your relationship?
I told her, I went to work that day, and I was thinking about proposing to her because I love her. She's my world. And I got home that day, I had the ring in my pocket. I told her how I felt. I said, I love you, you're my world, you're everything I've ever wanted. I want to take this family to a whole nother level. Will you marry me?
When Sophia was born, Mr. Fisher was overjoyed. He supported Miss Doyle through the birth and signed the birth certificate, believing Sophia was his. The first month was filled with love and happiness until Ms. Doyle's guilt led her to confess. Mr. Fisher's world crumbled as he learned of the betrayal, but he remained committed to caring for Sophia.
I held her hand, I felt like I was the dad, which at the time, I was pretty sure I was. But I held her, I kept telling her, push, push, push. I want to see my baby. And afterwards, right there, I held her. I signed the birth certificate and everything. I thought it was my baby. We stayed there for 3 days.
Mr. Fisher describes how his life was uplifted by Sophia's birth, only to be brought back down by the doubt of paternity. Ms. Doyle, filled with regret, acknowledges her mistake and wishes she could take it back.
We just had fun all day that day, just holding Sophia, spending time with her, just quality time. And she started looking at Sophia, started crying, kept crying, and she told me she cheated on me. I tell her I love her, she's my world, so is Sophia, but I shouldn't have to stay and take care of some other man's baby.
The court reviews the conception dates, aligning uncomfortably with the time of her affair, adding to Mr. Fisher's distress. He barely looks at the calendar, and it is clear. This is one question he would rather not know the truth about. It's as if he doesn't even want to acknowledge it in any way possible. It's heart-wrenching.
Or a child born on January 15th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And those dates are pretty much right in the window of time you were on vacation in Florida and had sex with the other guy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fisher, I can see you can barely look at the calendar. You just don't want to even acknowledge it. It's almost like if you look at it, it might be true.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Doyle's confession weighs heavily on Mr. Fisher as he prepares for the DNA test results. He expresses his unconditional love for Sophia, regardless of the outcome. The emotional tension is palpable as they await the truth. The court is filled with sympathy for Mr. Fisher's predicament, showcasing his remarkable strength and commitment.
Before I go to the results, Ms. Doyle, is there anything you'd like to say to Mr. Fisher?
I'm sorry that it happened, and if she's yours, then I hope that...
Let me tell you this. You ain't got to be guilty about it no more. I know about it, and I know you're sorry. Just don't hold it on me no more. That's my baby, no matter what.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment of truth. The DNA results are in, and we're about to find out if Mr. Fisher is the father of baby Sophia. Emotions are running high, and the stakes couldn't be higher for baby Sophia and this couple. Stay tuned for the reveal that will determine the future of their family.
Mr. Fisher, you are the father.
Thank you, God.
You can stand there with him if you'd like. How does it feel, Mr. Fisher, to know that that is your beautiful little baby girl?
Well, I think we're going to get married when we get back home.
Mr. Buchanan and Ms. Stembridge have a wild ride ahead of them. Mr. Buchanan claims that this is the third time a woman has accused him of fathering her child. The first 2 times, DNA testing proved he was not the father. But hold on tight, because now he doubts his girlfriend Ms. Stembridge's 6-month-old daughter is his. Talk about a roller coaster.
Mr. Buchanan, you say this is the 3rd time a woman has claimed you are her child's father. The first 2 times, DNA testing proved you were not the father. And you now doubt your girlfriend, Ms. Stembridge's 6-month-old daughter is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Buchanan tells us he believes Ms. Stembridge has been unfaithful, particularly with his former best friend and roommate, Eric. He recalls a confrontation where Eric claimed he had slept with Ms. Stembridge while Mr. Buchanan was incarcerated. This revelation added fuel to Mr. Buchanan's doubts and mistrust.
Basically, me and Eric got in some confrontation one day. This is like...
And Eric is your
supposed best friend.
supposed best friend, so you get into a confrontation.
Yeah, we was actually at a store. We took Eric up to the store. He was in the back seat already drunk. Jessica went in to go get his beer, which, I mean, why are you getting him beer? You know what I'm saying?
He could have got it himself, Your Honor.
Ms. Stembridge, however, insists she has always been honest with Mr. Buchanan. She argues that Eric made up the story to cause trouble, and that Mr. Buchanan's past experiences with deceitful women have made him overly suspicious. She admits to drinking with Eric, but denies any inappropriate behavior.
She come to see me, you know, and told me that, you know, she was under a lot of stress when I was locked up, you know, and while I was locked up, which is breaking the brother code, all right? You don't drink. I don't care if it's a supermodel. You ain't drinking with somebody. You know, you had the right to say no.
The situation gets more complicated when Mr. Buchanan describes finding evidence of Ms. Stembridge and Eric drinking together again. He explains that their first intimate encounter involved drinking lemon drops, and he suspects the same scenario occurred between Ms. Stembridge and Eric. The lemon drops became a symbol of his distrust.
They had a few beers, all right? She was honest about that. I was cool with that. I threw that out the window, all right? Cool. You had a few beers, I can understand. Your nerves were bad. That's cool, I understand that, all right? But then, check this out, all right?
Check it out. I'm checking.
She kind of picked me up, all right? We get home, or we on the way home, and I'm looking at them. They both nervous.
Things heat up as Mr. Buchanan recounts a phone call from his ex, claiming that Ms. Stembridge was seen in compromising positions with Eric. To support his claims, Mr. Buchanan brings in Ms. McNeil, a witness who allegedly saw Ms. Stembridge in Eric's bed. Ms. McNeil's testimony further intensifies the drama.
Who calls me? I get a phone call from my ex. I get a phone call. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Okay. Oh, I need to check my girl. Why I need to check my girl? Nah, you need to check your girl. She was laid up in your best friend's bed, laid up there sideways in some booty shorts and a spaghetti strap.
What?
Your Honor, no.
Despite the accusations and doubts, Mr. Buchanan admits he loves Ms. Stembridge's daughter and has been taking care of her. He expresses his commitment to the child. Regardless of the paternity results, his emotional attachment to the baby is evident, showcasing his deep desire for a family.
And I've been taking care of Jessica for the past 24 months, make sure we have a place to lay our head with that baby.
So you've been stepping up to the plate and doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
But you have doubt.
Oh, yes.
So it could be your baby or it could be your best friend.
It could be Eric's. It could be probably some other people's that I don't know about.
Miss Stembridge remains adamant that Mr. Buchanan is the father and emphasizes his excellent parenting. She acknowledges his doubts, but hopes the DNA test will confirm his paternity and strengthen their relationship. The tension is palpable as both parties await the crucial results.
Mr. Buchanan, what are your hopes? Do you have any feeling that this could be your child?
I hope that little girl's mine. She loves me to death, man.
He's a great father.
That baby has to have
Your
me
Honor.
every night to go to sleep. That baby will not go to sleep unless she has me.
He is a great father,
You
Your
have tears
Honor.
in your eyes as you speak about her.
Judge Lake intervenes, urging Mr. Buchanan to decide who he trusts and to set clear boundaries in his relationships. She highlights the importance of trust and communication, pointing out that misunderstandings and jealousy can tear apart families. Her advice aims to help them navigate their complex situation.
If you don't want her drinking with your best friend, you all need to sit down as adults and set boundaries in your relationship as to what's acceptable and what's not, because that's your rule. In some relationships, if someone had a drink with your best friend, it would be absolutely no big deal if you trusted both of them.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment of truth. The DNA results are in, and we're about to find out if Mr. Buchanan is the father of Ms. Stembridge's 6-month-old daughter. Emotions are running high, and the stakes couldn't be higher for this couple. Stay tuned for the reveal that will determine the future of their family.
Mr. Buchanan, you are her father.
Thank you.
That's a blessing. He must have did something when I already got her knocked up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They ran out of lemon, or you already.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
obvious that you're happy and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
pleased.
Yeah, I love that baby to death. I'm glad she's mine. That's
right.
Mr. Thomas and Ms. Zachary are in for quite a showdown. Mr. Thomas has been fighting for a DNA test for over a year for 15-month-old Hannah, claiming he was tricked into signing the birth certificate under false pretenses. Hold on tight, because this one's a whirlwind.
Mr. Thomas, you claim you've been petitioning the court system for a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah Thomas for more than a year now. You will be paying support because you signed the birth certificate, but claim it was under false pretenses. Now, the court will decide whether there's reasonable cause to grant you a DNA test today.
Mr. Thomas explains that he found out about the child support obligations only 2 weeks ago. He was expecting a check, but instead got a notice that his wages would be garnished. Meanwhile, Ms. Zachary insists that Mr. Thomas knew all along because she had to collaborate with child support to receive assistance.
2 weeks ago, Your Honor, I went to the mailbox thinking I'm getting a check, and unluckily, I end up getting a paper from child support saying that half my wages is going to be taken.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I don't mean to cut him off, but that is a lie, what he's saying. He knew that he was going to pay child support because I received a medical card. I also received cash assistance, and I have...
The timeline gets even murkier as Mr. Thomas recounts their brief separation and reconciliation. He mentions that after getting back together in August, Ms. Zachary told him she was pregnant. He recalls buying multiple pregnancy tests and initially believing the baby was his.
August, we got back together, towards the end of August, beginning of September, she told me I feel pregnant. And we went to buy like maybe 4 or 5 5 pregnancy tests that
Your
day.
Honor, I found out that I was pregnant September 18th, to be exact with you. And I went to that doctor's appointment and I came home, I handed him the papers. This is my results at the doctor. This is my proof of pregnancy.
Ms. Zachary maintains that she informed Mr. Thomas of her pregnancy as soon as she found out. She even presented him with the doctor's paperwork. However, Mr. Thomas claims he never saw any paperwork and started doubting the timeline when he noticed how quickly Ms. Zachary was showing.
I was carrying twins. That's why I was getting big so fast. It was my first time ever having twin children, and I didn't know at the time that I was even carrying twins.
When we went to the doctor, maybe probably was about 3 or 4 weeks later, and the doctor was telling her, yeah, you need to stop smoking cigarettes, you know, and he was telling me like, look, you need to be honest about smoking cigarettes. Here's her paperwork.
The plot thickens as Mr. Thomas describes attending a doctor's appointment with Ms. Zachary. He noticed that the pregnancy timeline didn't add up, leading to more doubts. Ms. Zachary argues that she was carrying twins, which explains her rapid growth, but Mr. Thomas remains skeptical.
She was supposed to be around 9 weeks at the time.
This is going through your head.
This is going through my head. So, and it's just everything that's been building up. It just was building up and building up like, okay, so she couldn't have been 3 to 5 weeks when she first told me, you know? So that means she deliberately lied to me about the situation.
Your Honor, I did not lie about how many weeks I was.
Yes,
I
you
did not lie about anything.
The real kicker comes when Mr. Thomas reveals that Ms. Zachary admitted to having unprotected sex with another man during their break. Ms. Zachary defends herself by saying they were on a break, and she was honest about her actions. This revelation is the core of Mr. Thomas's doubts about Hannah's paternity.
She basically told me that she was having unprotected sex with the guy.
That was July, beginning of July. That was the beginning of July.
With a guy that she was
with a
that's
kid
with a guy that she
July.
has previous been with before.
So that right there is your doubt, because as you were in that doctor's office and saw the calculation, and it led you back to the time when you were on a break.
I triple checked, I did it in my head.
Despite the rocky timeline, Mr. Thomas stood by Ms. Zachary during her pregnancy and even signed the birth certificate. He shares a heartbreaking story of the twins' birth, where one twin, Heather, sadly passed away. This loss adds another layer of emotion to their already complicated situation.
And then you signed the birth certificate when you were at the hospital, am I correct?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about that day.
She had her sister come get the children. I came up to the hospital. I was with her the whole night, all until she had the baby. I was there. It was no problem. The agreement this was the agreement from the beginning. If the guy that I believe is Hannah's dad, if he didn't have any part of anything.
The courtroom drama escalates as Mr. Thomas's uncle, Mr. Hill, testifies that he doesn't believe Hannah is Mr. Thomas's child, based on her appearance and a conversation he had with Ms. Zachary. The tension is palpable as more details emerge about the alleged affair and ongoing doubts.
Mr. Hill, you are Mr. Thomas's uncle.
Yes.
What do you know about this situation?
You know what, Your Honor, this whole situation is just crazy, like from the fighting to the arguing and stuff like that. I don't think that he is the father of Hannah.
You don't?
And the reason why is because she just don't look like him.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment of truth. The DNA results are in, and we're about to find out if Mr. Thomas is the father of 15-month-old Hannah. Emotions are running high. Stay tuned for the reveal that will determine the future of their family.
Mr. Thomas, you are her father.
Oh my God.
Great news, right? I'm so happy for the both of you. Your daughter is the most important thing.
Ms. Nesbitt is taking Mr. Henderson to court to prove he's the dad of her 7-month-old daughter, Diane. She's confident and says when the test results come back, she expects Mr. Henderson to step up and be a proper father. Mr. Henderson, though, thinks it's straightforward. He claims Ms. Nesbitt was unfaithful with a neighbor around the time Diane was conceived and believes the neighbor, Zion, is actually the biological father. Let's begin by looking at some of Ms. Nesbitt's problems with Mr. Henderson.
Well, he buy her diapers, that's about it. He doesn't do anything for my child, but buy her diapers. He does more for my 2-year-old son that he knows that's not his, than his own daughter.
Ms. Nesbitt has another son, from before she met Mr. Henderson. It seems Mr. Henderson treats this older son better than the child Ms. Nesbitt claims is his. That's some backward thinking, right? Why look after a kid you know isn't yours and neglect the one who might?
I feel that I shouldn't have to take care of another man's baby.
But you are taking care of another man's baby, right?
Yes, but at this time, I came into this baby's life and already knew he wasn't mine, but I had a possibility that she could have been mine, but she's not, so I felt kind of hurt. So
there's a level of resentment.
It's obvious Mr. Henderson is acting this way because he's bitter about Ms. Nesbitt cheating during their marriage. It gets even messier when you consider that Mr. Henderson claims he supported Ms. Nesbitt all through her pregnancy with Diane. He even signed the birth certificate without her permission.
So wait, you had asked him previously not to sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr. Henderson, you did sign the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember having the conversation with Ms. Nesbitt that said?
So it's pretty clear cut why at one point Mr. Henderson wanted Diane to be his daughter, but in the past 7 months, he changed his mind and stopped caring for her altogether. Ms. Nesbitt says the only reason he signed the birth certificate was to eventually gain custody of Diane. But if he signed it, why isn't he taking care of her now?
Come on, Your Honor, I can't be no man that's taking care of another man's baby.
Okay, now I want to understand that, your doubt. Because what it sounds like to me is you were at the hospital and you were really trying to convince yourself that this was your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
And signing the birth certificate was a way for you to say, stay in with this family, I'm going to make a family, I'm going to be here, I'm going to...
Mr. Henderson claims he stopped taking care of Diane because Ms. Nesbitt told him the baby isn't his, but belongs to their neighbor, Mr. Brown. That's pretty intriguing, considering she's in court now trying to prove Diane is actually Mr. Henderson's child.
Well, let me tell you how it all began. He had sex with his cousin, and you know...
Yes, I did, but that was before her.
She said that she had sex with my little black car and they had a baby.
Before that, when you was sitting in the car with your friend, when y'all left from the Riverwalk.
No, that's not true. You got her pregnant.
Yes, it is. It's true, Your Honor.
Wait a second. It gets a lot worse than you can imagine, but that still doesn't answer the question. Why does Ms. Nesbitt think this child isn't Mr. Henderson's?
Well, I doubt it because we was having unprotected sex for a year straight, and all of a sudden I had sex one time with Mr. Brown and I ended up getting pregnant 2 weeks later.
Basically, she's saying she doubted Mr. Henderson was the father because they'd been together for a year without getting pregnant. Meanwhile, she was intimate with Mr. Brown once, and soon after, she found out she was pregnant. Now, let's hear Mr. Brown's side of the story.
But you did have a sexual encounter with her.
Yeah, one time.
It's like birthday sex, that was about it.
It wasn't more that she used to always hit me up and text me and all that stuff. I used to text her.
It's been going on longer than that. It was more than one night.
It was just birthday sex, that was
it. It was just one night only, but we used to always text and stuff like that. I used to hit her up with different females' names because he used to be around, so I'd be like, this Nancy, and she'd text me like LOL, you know what I'm saying?
Now that's really messed up. Can you imagine being in Mr. Henderson's shoes right now? Listening to your partner talk about cheating on you on live TV is absolutely wild.
We had sex the one time?
Just that one night on her birthday when her and him got
the protection broke?
I don't remember protection broke. I was buzzing a little bit, but I don't remember no protection broke. You know what I'm saying? Reminds you, I just came to the comfort that one night because we was chilling, you know what I'm saying? When I was massaging, my hands led to other places, and you know what happened after that.
Now that's even worse. Ms. Nesbitt is really something for doing that to her husband. When she got pregnant, she told both men they might be the father. Mr. Brown is convinced the baby isn't his. He's so sure he brings baby pictures of himself and asks if he even looks like baby Diane. But that doesn't prove anything.
Look anything like you, in your opinion?
Nothing like. One day she had told me she didn't want to take the first. She was always asking like, do you mind taking a test? I'm like, yeah. Then one day she called, text me like, you don't need to take no test because I know it's his baby.
No, you.
I guess she didn't want to hurt
Your
his
Honor,
feelings.
he's the one that called me.
So wait.
Now the judge has had enough of this drama. Let's get to the bottom of it. Who is baby Diane's father? Mr. Brown or Mr. Henderson?
Are not her father.
Oh! Hey,
okay, sit down, Mr. Brown. Your name rhymes with clown, but you're not gonna clown today. Just calm down. Calm down. Mr. Henderson, you are her father.
Miss Kavanaugh faked a pregnancy and kept the lie going for weeks. She had a really elaborate way of doing it too. After all that deceit, the paternity test results completely shocked her. Here's how it all unfolded.
Miss Kavanaugh, you and your mother are appearing in court today to prove paternity of your 3-week-old son, Malcolm. Now, you claim his biological father is Mr. Bowles, even though you admit to being intimate with another man, Mr. McElliott, during the window of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, he's waiting outside of the courtroom, and he'll be joining us short.
Mr. Bowes goes on to shoot himself in the leg. He says that he had never seen the 3-week-old Malcolm before today. Regardless of this, he claims that Malcolm is not his biological baby. How can one even tell if this is the first time he's seeing the baby? This is an interesting question, especially since Miss Kavanaugh keeps insisting that the baby belongs to Mr. Bowes.
I believe Mr. Bowles is my son's father. Even though we wasn't in a committed relationship, we had unprotected sex frequently, and he has not been around. He doesn't ask about my son. He probably didn't even know my son's name was Malcolm until now. And I'm just ready to prove that he is the father because my son doesn't have a voice, so I'm his voice.
There's one other person in question, and their sexual intimacy was only once, and with Mr. Bowles.
Miss Kavanaugh's mother seems to be more involved in all of this than Miss Kavanaugh herself even. Although Mr. Bowes admits to being intimate with Miss Kavanaugh a couple of times, here is the reason why he is 100% sure about the paternity of baby Malcolm.
Actually, when we first met the first night, we had sex of being in her house.
It wasn't within 20 minutes.
And then, like, probably 3 weeks later, maybe 2 weeks later, I found like an open condom wrapper in her bathroom.
Well,
she had already said that
just because,
like, I was the only person she was having sex with,
And then the condom that he's talking about, it was my friend's that I worked with. Her and her boyfriend spent the night, and that was that.
She said she used it. She said it was with her ex.
Well, oh well. Now it'll seem like Mr. Bowes is getting quite paranoid and has started to believe things that didn't happen. On to Miss Kavanaugh. She went on to explain that the first person she told about her pregnancy was Mr. Bowes. She did this simply because she wanted to be in a committed relationship with him, but he did not respect her. All these feelings led her to be intimate with Mr. McElliott.
About my feelings. So yes, I did have one encounter with Mr. McElliott, but I felt like I wanted to do that to make him jealous because I want him to see that somebody else wants me and maybe he would want me.
This is where Mr. Bowes spills the tea about how Miss Kavanaugh actually lied about being pregnant. They saw one another every day, and she was getting very infatuated with the young man. However, he was not giving her the attention she wanted. This is when she took the initiative.
I went to the store, got a pregnancy test, was going to take 2 negatives, turn it into a positive, and when, yes.
Take 2 negatives and turn it into a positive?
Yes, crack them open and turn them into a positive.
Oh, and put 2 of the lines together. So you had a plan to pretend you were pregnant in order to keep him. And then what happened?
Well, I took both of the tests, Your Honor, and I went to go eat, and I came back and they were both positive.
What a woman. It's interesting that anyone would even think about that. When Mr. Bowes heard about the pregnancy, he did not believe her at first. Considering that she was just planning to lie to him about something so crazy, that's a man that truly knows the woman he's with, if you ask me. He added that he did not trust her because he knew that she was intimate with other men, also saying that it's not just one other man she was with, but a bunch of others.
I didn't want to have sex anymore until we were in a committed relationship. We fell asleep because I was tired. He wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and tells me he's going to go have sex with another woman.
What?
Yeah, so
you wake her up to tell her that?
We wasn't together, so I can leave and go back to my house and do whatever.
And yes, I did chase him out of my house because I don't see why you would. Any woman. Any woman.
Turns out Mr. Bowes is not an angel after all. He said that to her in her first month of pregnancy. Isn't that something? Regardless of all of this, Miss Kavanaugh still has feelings for Mr. Bowes, which is utterly mind-boggling as it is. After a lot of banter, we finally get to meet the second potential father, Mr. McElliott.
Miss Kavanaugh, I would say, is a very special one. Me and her, we met, we hooked up and went out to eat or something like that. But ever since—
So you took her on dates and courted her and treated her like a lady should be treated?
Always.
Good.
That was definitely a jab in Mr. Bowes' general direction. Mr. McElliott found out about the pregnancy from a picture of an ultrasound Miss Kavanaugh sent, which she insists looks like his mother. What an interesting turn of events. Looks like truly we have 2 possible fathers in court today.
Who do you think he looks like?
I want to say Mr. Bowles, but you can't always go on looks. But I just have I have a feeling. I would be very pleased and very happy if it was Mr. McElliott's because he would be a good father. But I just don't know.
Do you?
The new guy, Mr. Model Man McElliott, added that sure, he signed the birth certificate, but he did that only because the whole paternity thing was beginning to stress him out. It was stressful on Miss Kavanaugh as well. And that made it easier for him to sign it because he absolutely does not mind starting a family with her. However, it gets better. Mr. McElliott spills the beans and shares this with the court.
Third party or something that was included in this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's true, Your Honor.
Oh, nah, it's true.
That's true, Your Honor.
A third party?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please elaborate on the third party.
It was a very drunken night, and it was a one-night stand.
Do you remember whether you used protection or not?
No, that's why I think it may be another person, but I'm not quite sure.
Whoa, so there really is a third man involved in all of this. What a woman. And what a drunken night that must have been. After this little reveal, the funniest conversation ensues in court. It would seem like Miss Kavanaugh's mother does not understand whose court she just stepped into, really.
That's something I don't understand, though. Men like yours having sex solo, but I just don't understand why people can't.
Well, since we want to go to school, let me take you there. Bear the children, meaning they can orbit in uncertainty indefinitely, not knowing whether or not they're the father, when we know for certain and we are responsible. And that's the difference we have to teach our young girls.
Judge Lake put Miss Kavanaugh and her mother in the school bus, took them to school, and brought them back to paternity court in just about 5 minutes. Oh, they are not done one bit. There's so much more to be said.
Her daughter learned was a very valuable lesson. Who you gonna lay down with, right? And look, you cannot baby or trick him into having his baby.
And I never said that she could.
No. It's true. Look, these aren't lessons just your daughter has to learn. A lot of women in this courtroom had to learn it.
Your Honor,
you got to respect yourself.
After so much bickering in court today, the results are out and we all get to hear it. Everyone is on the edge of their seats as we're all trying to figure out who the father of baby Malcolm is. Could it be the cold-hearted Mr. Bose, Mr. Nice Guy McElliott, or Mr. What's-His-Name third-party drunk encounter? There's just one way to find out.
Mr. McElliott, you are not his father. Mr. Bowles, you are not his father. Calm down.
It's time to meet Ms. Brogdon, our main character. She's in court today to figure out who the father of her daughter is. 1-year-old Quamira has not had a father figure in family to call her own, and this upsets Ms. Brogdon so much, it brought her to paternity court. The suspected father, Tyrrell Jones, is unfortunately deceased. His family is in court alongside Ms. Brogdon. However, there's a delicious twist in the story. Look at this.
I don't think that's my brother's baby. I don't.
Why?
Tamisha, first of all, slept with 2 of my brothers. So that's what...
She slept
with 2 of my brothers.
2 of them?
2 of my brothers.
And that's true, Ms. Brogdon?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you're in court saying that just Tyrell is your daughter's father.
Yes.
If you slept with the other brother too,
yes.
Could he potentially be the child's father too?
No, Your Honor. I heard otherwise.
You did? What did you hear, Ms. Sugden?
Oh, so that happened. She slept with 2 brothers, and there's a possibility that either of them could be the father. I mean, with all of this going on, one can say that Ms. Brogdon was really put in the family way. That's not all there is to the story. When asked why she decided to reach out after a full year, seeing that baby Quamira is 1 year old, here is what Ms. Brogdon had to say.
It's hard. My baby had a seizure. She been sick. Didn't have a job since I have her. Like, I have no help at all.
And this is really difficult for you to raise her alone.
One would think that if you had 4 kids at 25 with no job and no form of financial support, getting a 5th child would not exactly be a priority. But oh my, here we are. Tyrrell's sister is one of the women in court today, and she insists that the baby does not belong to Tyrrell or any of her brothers, in fact. She goes on to add that Ms. Brogdon needs to move on away from their family to find her daughter's real father. According to her, all of this stress is preventing her own mother from healing after the tragic loss of her son.
Yes.
You were? Mm-hmm. Explain to me the nature of that relationship.
Me and Tyrell, we were together for like 3 years. Like close to the end, Tyrell started cheating. He started staying out. He started doing all this type of stuff. It was one night, Tyrell lied and said he was at the police district. He wasn't there. I went to his grandmother's house where he said he was there.
What an absolute joke. So she'd been in a relationship with the deceased for 3 years. However, one night he's not available and he's unresponsive to her calls. Then she happens to have some alcohol and decides to sleep with his own brother simply because he was available. Oh, Paul Jones. What was the brother even thinking? Perhaps Paul wasn't thinking at all.
End up, you're dating this guy and then you sleep sleep with his brother just for the anger?
Yes.
And so you did it to get back at him?
I've been through a whole lot with Tyrell out of the 3 years. It was not just him lying and staying the night out. No, it's more than that.
Miss Sugden, you're saying you've heard personally that she was sleeping with 2 brothers around the same time?
Yes.
Tyrell's sister, Ms. Sugden, further responded to this, saying that although she accepts the possibility of either brother being the father, one thing still stands. This thing being that the entire family hates her now because she slept with 2 brothers. Ms. Brogdon tore their family apart as Tyrell and Paul kept at each other's throats until the end. Now Paul is living with guilt, knowing that he slept with his deceased brother's girlfriend, and he was so upset about getting a paternity test done. What a guy.
When she called me and said she had the baby, Tiara was at my house. I said, Tiara, she had the baby, want to go? Oh, what I'm going to the hospital for?
Why didn't Mish call? Why is she going through you all the time? She's a grown woman.
You're right. Why did she go through me? But
y'all going through you about every single
Y'all
thing.
hate me.
What a ruckus in court today. After she had the baby, Ms. Brogdon called another of Tyrell's baby mamas. Looks like Deanna and Ms. Brogdon may be quite close considering that she came to court as her witness. Deanna told Tyrell's sister about the baby and she absolutely refused to come to the hospital and get a paternity test done. There's another witness in court today, Tiara Jones, the second sister of Tyrell. Oh, the things she has to say.
I was told not only from Ms. Chambers, but another mutual friend that she had another, and not Tyrell Jones. So it's just a coincidence that both of their last name is Jones, but at first I heard that he was there.
Wait, there's another Jones in the picture? Well, okay, Ms. Brogdon, it looks like this woman has been working overtime to get her baby that last name. After all of the bickering from the women in court, we finally get the verdict, and this time it comes with a little twist.
Part of this testing is to determine whether or not either brother has fathered your child. The second level, if we make that determination, will be to determine which brother, in fact, fathered.
And it just makes sense, seeing that Tyrell isn't here. There are a lot of men involved with 2 brothers on that list, and a direct paternity test can't be done. Now everyone's on their toes, and it feels as though the tension in court can be cut through with a knife. Here are the results.
Christina Jones is related to Quamira Jones. Mr. Paul Jones is not the father. Tyrell Jones is Quamira's biological father.
The Ellis brothers have brought their mother to court today to find out who their real father is. They recently discovered that their mother, Ms. Shivers, had slept with both their father and his brother, meaning their uncle could actually be their biological father. Ms. Shivers admits to this and is in court to find out who fathered her boys and to ask for their forgiveness. What a situation.
We're at a family gathering or just having some drinks or whatever, and Uncle Ronnie came up to me and said, "You know I'm your son. You know you my son, right?"
It was basically like a family get-together. It was a family function.
Ms. Shivers confesses she slept with both brothers because there was nothing else to do and she had nowhere else to turn. In cases like this, one goes to the cathedral, Ms. Shivers. The next thing to do is not sleep with 2 brothers. Arthur Ellis, one of her sons, thinks he might be his uncle's child, and Eugene, his brother, agrees it's possible since they realize that their father treated Arthur differently while he was alive.
When I was in jail, but he wrote him, send him money, so that made me feel.
Unfortunately, we had to take a trip down the road. And my father, he wrote me more.
That's really cold. And it's true. Arthur Ellis deserves to know the truth. On the flip side, the man who could be Arthur's father, Ronnie Ellis, has always shown him more love than his actual supposed father. Eugene Ellis, on the other hand, is sure of his paternity.
And you look at my dad, if you had a full body shot of my dad, I'm slim like my dad. I'm built like my dad. My features like my dad. Arthur is big. He's a big guy right here. Uncle Ronnie is big. That's a big guy right there.
Well,
his hair is different from my hair. If we got the same dad.
Eugene might think he knows who his father is, but his mother has serious doubts. She's unsure about Eugene's real father, and he's finding this out live in paternity court.
I was married to another man before I left and went to Detroit, and that's when I got pregnant with Eugene, so.
Do you feel there are reasonable, credible doubts as it relates to Eugene as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's just unbelievable. Hopefully, Ronnie McClellan's testimony can clear things up and give a clearer picture of the Ellis brothers' paternity.
Young man could be your biological child.
My brother had put her and Eugene out, and they came back to Chicago and lived with me.
and while they were living with me. She said we only had sex once with me. That's what she must have meant, you know?
But you remember.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so the potential father is between Ronnie McClellan and the now departed John Ellis. Hopefully, there is no other potential father for Arthur Ellis at this point.
I met him when I was waitressing in the restaurant, and he ran a big hotel, and he also, gave me jobs and stuff. That's when Eugene was like about 4 or 5. We had a couple of little nights, where we had a few drinks, and we did have intimacy. He died.
Oops, and there we have it, folks. 3 potential fathers for Arthur Ellis and 2 potential fathers for Eugene Ellis. We are going to check the results for Eugene first.
John Ellis is your father.
I knew that. I knew that. I said that from the beginning. I knew that. Look at me.
Now let's check the results for Arthur and see whether Ronnie, John Ellis, or perhaps even Nick Cage might be his potential father.
John Ellis is your father.
I told you.
You hear me? I needed that.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Coward is desperate to keep her relationship with Mr. James, but first, she has to prove to him that he's the father of her son. But Mr. James says that Ms. Coward has cheated on him in the past, and there's absolutely no way he can trust her. I wonder why.
Ms. Coward, you claim you're here today to determine the paternity of your 9-month-old son in an effort to save your relationship with his alleged father, Mr. James.
Yes, Judge.
Well, this looks like a pretty laid-back couple, right? No drama, no shenanigans, just 2 adults who aren't sure of a kid's paternity, right? Well, this case is a lot more complicated than it seems.
All right, and so, Ms. Coward, you met Mr. James, you started a relationship.
Yes. Yes.
Were you seeing each other exclusively, or how was this a committed relationship?
In a sexual relationship, but quickly it turned into, we started off a relationship.
These 2 lovebirds are already starting to show their cracks. Starting a sexual relationship and transitioning to a committed relationship seems kind of weird if you ask me. And what's up with Mr. James telling Ms. Coward that she was pregnant before she knew? Like, bro, are you psychic? Or is there something you haven't told us?
Well, I have evidence that I keep on the calendar basically about her cycle and from which I've done, so I know basically when I can and when I cannot, be intimate with her.
Whoa, slow down there, buddy. Marking every time you get some action on a calendar is wild. Mr. James just took keeping score to a whole new level. But hey, as crazy as that may be, that naughty little calendar might come in handy.
Okay, do you have that evidence with you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Jerome, so Mr. James, how long have you been keeping a calendar like this?
Since I've been about 25, 26 years old.
25 or 26?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. James just went from 0 to 100. The naughty calendar was bad enough, but adding menstrual cycles to the mix, damn, that's some next level OCD. And for every woman he slept with. I mean, someone should either give this man a medal or arrest him.
In your calendar, you have the dates you were intimate with women, monthly cycles.
Yes, ma'am, I do. Yes, ma'am, I do.
And also a record of their wow.
At one point in my life, so if this woman was on her cycle, I was a womanizer.
I don't know if that explanation made things better or worse. Hell, I almost forgot there's a case going on, thanks to Mr. James and his insane record-keeping habit. The fact that he started making calendars to keep track of the women he could mess around with is both brilliant and cynical at the same time.
Friday, December 28th, 2012. That's you have an abbreviation, meaning that the monthly cycle began.
Yes, ma'am.
The calendar is real, folks. And Judge Lake is as surprised as we are that Mr. James was keeping track of Ms. Coward's cycles. The case is finally starting to get back on track, and if Mr. James is right, it could be the most clear-cut case we've ever seen on paternity court.
And so how did your calendar play a role? Is this what made you doubtful as you went back through your notes? Once you found out she was pregnant,
well,
you noticed there were some issues?
Yes.
This guy brought receipts. Mr. James is pretty confident that both due dates are wrong. And can you blame him? The guy keeps calendars for Christ's sakes. The evidence is quickly stacking up against Ms. Cowart, and it looks like Mr. James isn't done yet.
Now, do you have any other evidence that would...
Yes, ma'am, I do. I have the calendar of when we slept together in December. We slept together again after she came off her menstrual cycle.
He didn't put all the dates on his calendar.
I put all the dates on there.
You didn't.
Surprise, surprise, more calendars. Come on, this is getting ridiculous. Ms. Cowart hasn't even got one word out yet, and Mr. James is already on his third calendar of the day. If the stakes weren't so high, the courtroom would probably be applauding his efforts.
But we did not actually have any, and she claims that we had birthday sex, which is my birthday, which is in January. But she was upset from Christmas, and I know it for a fact because we fell out around Christmas time after the kids got their presents. I didn't get mine. We actually separated at that time.
So Ms. Cowart's defense is that they had birthday sex? I don't see how that stacks up against Mr. James's super detailed calendar. But I'm not counting her out just yet. We've seen way crazier endings on this show.
Ms. Cowart, were you intimate with Mr. James on his birthday?
Not his actual birth date. On the 4th of January, we were intimate.
That week.
All right. Were you intimate with any other man during that time?
No, ma'am.
Of course, I kind of beg to differ. She was partying.
He feels like that.
Judge Lake is having too much fun with this one, but hey, at least Ms. Cowart's starting to make some good points. Her birthday sex and grocery store isn't too bad, but she's going to need a lot more firepower if she's going to bring down Mr. James.
A calendar?
No, ma'am, I did not. I put my customers on the calendar.
Mr. James?
I have no recollection of that, but
Just
I'm
like
the one that keeps the calendar.
He has no recollection
You
of the
didn't put
fourth.
the grocery store on your... You slipping now.
Well, the grocery store is not
You
that
slipping,
important.
you gotta add that in.
What's not more important than,
I'm just
sexuality?
Now that was insightful. Messing around with someone who's already in a relationship is bad enough, but starting a relationship with that person, come on, Mr. James, you should have known better. Old habits die hard.
I'm a single black man that had his own apartment, had his own business, taken care of and raising, and that's what intrigued her, and so she left him alone after 8 years. So her being as arrogant as she is, after a while of us being together.
I feel for Mr. James, but makes a really good point. How would you expect commitment from someone who broke off their relationship just to mess around with you? Having unprotected sex with your ex, though, sorry, Ms. Cowart, I'll have to side with Mr. James here. That's a no-no.
So when Taj was born, who was at the hospital? Anybody there?
Mr. James was at the hospital. He was there the whole time.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes.
Actually, I didn't. I don't know how my name got on the birth
He
certificate.
signed the birth certificate. I have evidence that he signed the birth certificate.
Oh, you were doing so well, Mr. James. Why in the world would you sign the birth certificate if you were sure you're not the father? And being there for the birth was really supportive. But why were you there if the kid isn't yours?
Mr. James, what happens if Taj is not your biological child?
I'll be hurt and devastated, but if he is my child, I would like to go ahead and marry her. If he's not, then that would not happen.
After all that, I feel like this one's pretty much a coin flip, y'all. And after Judge Lake schools the couple on trust, the only thing that can bring Mr. James and Ms. Cowart back together is the DNA test result. Do your thing, Judge Lake.
Mr. James, you are the father.
Thank you. I told you.
I see the tears in your eyes, Mr. James. It feels good to know, right?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
I just hope this makes our relationship better.
Ms. Hilburn got caught up in a love triangle, but love isn't all she got from it. Now, she has a 10-month-old daughter, Saria, and a man who wants nothing to do with her. Mr. Barnes, on the other hand, claims that Ms. Hilburn cheated on him on Valentine's Day, and after giving her a second chance, she went right back to the streets.
Ms. Hilburn, you admit that you've been caught up in a love triangle.
Yes,
for the past 3 years, which you say resulted in the birth of your 10-month-old daughter, Saray. But you're here to prove she is the defendant's baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's a lot to unpack here, but cheating on Valentine's Day? Geez, Ms. Hilburn. If that's what you're up to on Valentine's Day, what do you do on random Tuesdays? And going back to the guy she cheated with after Mr. Barnes taking her back is just diabolical.
Mr. Barnes, what kind of connection have you developed with this child?
I was there for appointments. It's a father-daughter relationship. I was there from start to finish. I got there before she did to the hospital. Ultrasounds, I was there when she was born.
Prop Props to Mr. Barnes for being there for the kid. He's a better man than most for that. But how in the world is he so casual about Ms. Hilburn being legally married to another man? And how does Ms. Hilburn find the time to juggle so many relationships?
So, Ms. Hilburn, you've been caught in a love triangle.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain. What is going on?
He was friends with him, and we developed a relationship and started sleeping together, and then we started to have issues. I met Mr. Barnes through an ex of mine.
Yup, that's pretty much the definition of a love triangle. But honestly, it's more like a square at this point. With a roster that big, it's no surprise that Ms. Hilburn isn't sure who the father of her child is.
Mr. Barnes, during the time this was going on, did you have any idea she was sleeping with someone else?
No, Your Honor, it was always done while I was at work, so I had no idea. So the night says she's going to her friends. Okay, fine, go ahead.
Really? Mr. Barnes? Really? I mean, we already know that Ms. Hilburn can't be trusted around any adult male. But come on, Mr. Barnes. Living in the same house as your girlfriend and the person she's cheating on you with, you might as well throw your relationship off a cliff.
You said all of you were living together?
Yes, ma'am.
Your girlfriend you're living with and she cheated on you with the man.
No, we were not together at the time. So if she...
Were you still sleeping with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. How did she pull it off? That must have been one crazy living situation. So how did it even work? Did Ms. Hilburn keep a calendar to track which one of her 2 boy toys she was going to spend time with? Or did Mr. Barnes and the other guy make appointments? Who knows? Maybe they just called dibs.
Some of the time they did?
Yes, Mr.
We had
Barnes
no idea of each other.
was dumb
Until
enough
2
to
months
believe my lie.
after Saray was born, that's when
She just
I
said
was
you were
informed.
dumb enough to believe her lie.
If I would have known at that point in time that there was another gentleman...
Okay, what the hell just happened? The audience should have paid premium tickets to be in that courtroom because Ms. Hilburn was putting on a show. I don't know what's more shocking, the fact that these two are still humping it out, or the fact that Ms. Hilburn is pregnant again and surprise, surprise, she doesn't know who the dad is.
So you find out you're pregnant?
Yes.
With Saray. Who do you tell first?
I told Mr. Barnes first. So I took the paper to him and showed that I was pregnant, and he was happy because he wanted to be a father.
Just when I thought Ms. Hilburn was done shocking the courtroom, there she goes again. Who lies multiple times about being pregnant when they actually aren't? Ms. Hilburn, that's who. Again, how is Mr. Barnes still hanging on to this relationship? Oh, and if you're wondering whether Mr. Barnes knew Saria might not be his, well...
I did tell him before the baby was born that there was a chance that she could not be his.
You told me 2 months after Saray was born.
I told you
That's
2
when
months before
most of the
Saray was
problems
born.
between you and I started dealing with that gorgeous girl right there. I love that girl.
You nodded affirmatively. He does love her, right?
Yeah.
Ms. Hilburn clearly has some issues that she needs to work through if she wants to keep her relationship. Holding that kind of information until 2 months after the baby is born is some next-level deceit. And to make matters worse, Mr. Barnes clearly loves Saria.
So, as you're going through the birth, and what's going on with the other guy?
He
just shows up for the sex, not for the responsibility?
Yeah, and he only tries to be the dad to try to get to Mr. Barnes.
Now that's just dumb. Ms. Hilburn needs to get her priorities straight because at this rate, she's not only ruining her life, she's ruining Saria's life too. Putting that much effort into a guy who wants nothing to do with Saria and playing Mr. Barnes is just criminal.
You definitely want to be the father.
Yes, I do.
And you truly want him to be because this other gentleman, you have no faith in him.
I do not.
Why are you with him then? If you got one guy that truly loves you and wants to step up to the plate, that's what I don't understand about a love triangle, Jerome.
We can go ahead and add delusional to Miss Hilburn's long list of boo-boos, and they'll need a lot more than just band-aids to fix. And it's nice to see that Mr. Barnes has a girlfriend too. Good for you, buddy. You can't just let Miss Hilburn have all the fun now, can you?
So, Mr. Barnes, you got a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
Does she know about this relationship?
She suspects, but when you don't see your girlfriend for 7 months, you don't see her, what else are you supposed to do?
Did you catch all that? 'Cause I sure didn't. This might be the single most eventful episode of paternity court I've ever seen. I couldn't guess the outcome of this case with a gun to my head, but it's a good thing I don't have to. The DNA test results are in, and man, you might want to sit down for this one.
Mr. Barnes, you are not Saray's father. I know that wasn't the news you wanted.
No.
And as much as I believe and would bet my bottom dollar, Miss Hilburn, that you have orchestrated a lot of this mess.
Ms. Ellison is a hot mess. She admits to cheating on her boyfriend with Mr. Jenkins and getting pregnant by him. But ever since she gave birth to her daughter, Olivia, Mr. Jenkins hasn't done a thing for his alleged child.
Ms. Ellison, you admit to cheating on your boyfriend with the defendant and now claim, you say he's done nothing for your baby and you are here with your mother to demand he is your daughter Olivia's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Ellison's mom is right next to her on the stand, and if I've learned anything from watching this show for years, moms always bring the heat. Mr. Jenkins doesn't look fazed at all. That type of confidence doesn't come easy, though. He's either done this before or he has some juicy evidence up his sleeve.
Mr. Jenkins, I'll start with you. How do you know you're not the father of Miss Ellison's child?
Ellison, 10 months into our relationship, she made it known that she still was in a relationship with her boyfriend.
Geez, Ms. Ellison, what have you been putting this man through? I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but listening to him speak, Mr. Jenkins sounds like he's gotten used to seeing Ms. Jenkins with random guys.
So wait, Mr. Jenkins, it's your contention she admitted to you she was with other guys?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he knew I had another boyfriend. He made me promises that he couldn't keep, and he said he would show me a better life.
Is it just me, or does Ms. Ellison have no remorse for what she just did? We're here because of you, Missy, and you might have normalized having a boyfriend and a side piece at the same time, but most of us haven't. She insists she was just messing around with 2 guys, but Mr. Jenkins begs to differ.
So you slept with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
No protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you say, Mr. Jenkins, there were other guys too?
Yes, ma'am.
But also still sleeping with your boyfriend?
Multiple guys, Your Honor.
How do you know there were multiple?
I seen them.
Your Honor,
multiple, many.
Clearly, one of them is lying out of their teeth, and boy oh boy, I can't wait to find out who. Good thing is Mr. Jenkins and Ms. Ellison can play coy all they want, but you know what never lies? Those sweet, sweet DNA test results.
This time, did you think you two were in a relationship? You were boyfriend and girlfriend?
No, ma'am, no, Your Honor. She was in a relationship that she wasn't comfortable with and she was gonna break it off. What I explained to Ms. Ellison did, okay, well,
so much for your plan. Come on, Mr. Jenkins, that's middle school level thinking. It doesn't matter what your plan is. When a man and a woman mess around without protection, guess what? They make babies.
Did you tell both Mr. Jenkins and your boyfriend that you were pregnant when you found out?
The same exact day, yes,
You
Your
did?
Honor, yes. He did not allow me to talk to him and inform him on anything.
Well, that's got to suck. I feel for Ms. Ellison, but something still feels off here. Like, is she saying Mr. Jenkins is the dad because she's sure, or is it because the other guy she was dealing with took off? We're gonna need some answers, Ms. Ellison.
Oh, so you saying when you were sleeping with Mr. Jenkins, you didn't have any contact with your boyfriend?
After I found out that I was pregnant, he cut everything off.
After you found out you were pregnant?
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
so while you were pregnant, who went with you to doctor's appointment?
I did. My mama.
Well, you know what they say, nobody can really love you the way your mom does. Props to Ma Ellison for sticking by her daughter. I don't know about you, but it feels like Ms. Ellison is winning over both the judge and the audience. Mr. Jenkins had better start dropping some solid points soon.
He messaged me back and said, all right.
So hold on.
You can tell me from Facebook, you can call my telephone.
Yes.
Man, I got evidence right here, Your Honor.
He kind of went on a rant there, but finally we've got some evidence. Well, at least I think we've got some evidence. With these two, there's no telling what's on that sheet of paper. Hell, it might just be a bunch of stick figures and some text saying many guys.
What is that evidence you're holding?
I got a court document right here, Your
Bro, will
Honor,
you pass
where
that
it
to
says
me,
I'm
please?
supposed to go to court for a baby that could be somebody else for child support.
This is a court order for a child support hearing.
Ooh, Mr. Jenkins just dropped a bomb. The tables are turning faster than a New York minute out here. But honestly, why would Ms. Ellison completely disregard the fact that her ex could be Olivia's father?
Placed Mr. Jenkins on child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
You just met me, why ain't put him?
Are you certain he's the child's father?
I didn't have sex with my ex-boyfriend until a week after my ovulation week.
Well, hopefully Ms. Ellison gets it now. She just can't be certain that Mr. Jenkins is the father if she was still sleeping with her ex at the same time.
Because you understand this man has been ordered to appear in court, likely will be held responsible for child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the truth is, paternity has never been established.
No, Your Honor.
There's a lot riding on these results.
And just like that, Ms. Ellis' son is the bad guy. I'm on Judge Lake's side now, because sending a man who you think may be your child's father to jail is diabolical.
Has he been involved?
No.
Helped at all?
No.
Now that Olivia's here.
Yeah, you bought this outfit.
Hold on.
This what you bought. This what you brought to the baby shower.
I ain't
You
brought
took
the
her to
child.
3?
Hold on. I said, Miss Edison, you ain't had no baby.
Thanks for chiming in, Grandma Ellison. She's been so quiet I almost forgot she was here. And the baby clothes is evidence, man. She'd been waiting for that question all day. It's also pretty evident that Grandma and Mr. Jenkins do not see eye to eye. Let's see what else Grandma Ellison has to say.
They were in a relationship. He did not want her talking to the other person.
Okay, so
and
she cut
at the
him
same
off.
time, I was trying to tell her, they both could potentially be the father. You need to keep him involved.
Oh man, how did the tables keep turning like this? We've been going hard on Ms. Ellison for some time, but Mr. Jenkins is no saint. I'll be honest, he'd be getting much more flack for doing that to a pregnant woman if he wasn't so damn funny. I can't help but laugh every time he opens his mouth.
Mr. Jenkins, it sounds to me like at some point this did turn into a relationship.
For a year and 3 months.
A
Even
year and
after
3
my
months.
baby was born, we were still together.
Man, we were cool.
We were still together, Your Honor.
Talk about misplaced love. If I was Ms. Ellison, I'd be mad as hell right now. Because what in the world is we were cool? Sorry to say, but Ms. Ellison might have jumped the gun too quickly with this one. Mr. Jenkins clearly wants nothing to do with her.
Okay, but what happened?
Basically left your boyfriend.
Yes.
Because you wanted to be with Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you put him on child support now? And I just have to say this, kind of to bring him back, to rope him in, to make him have to be connected to the child because you really wanted to be with him?
Now that was surprising. It's sad to see her cry, but it still doesn't make sense to me why Ms. Ellison didn't bring her ex to court. If the ex has already built a relationship with little Olivia, he's already a way better option than Mr. Jenkins, right?
Does she look like one man or the other? We know looks can be deceiving. It's a natural instinct in all of us to see if we can just see any similarities, either of the two men.
More of Nathan, you guess.
More of Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
At this point, everyone knows that this is the worst offense in the history of paternity court. Physical similarities don't mean squat when it comes to paternity, so Mr. Jenkins might have been fine if he just kept his mouth shut. But claiming Olivia, wow, who would have thought? The only question now is, was he right?
Mr. Jenkins, you are her father. Miss Ellison, are your tears of relief because you finally know? Are you crying because Mr. Jenkins is your child's father?
I'm just hurt, Your Honor.
You feel hurt.
Mr. Hoyer has spent 14 years searching for his father and sadly found his alleged father has passed. However, Mrs. Porter and her mother, Mrs. Horn, claim Mr. Hoyer has no ties to their family whatsoever and is here to prove that.
Mr. Hoyer, after 14 years of being in foster care, you desperately searched for your father. Sadly, that search ended when you learned that your alleged father, Mr. James Horn, was tragically killed.
This might be one of the saddest stories on paternity court. Mr. Hoyer spent 14 years in foster care with zero idea of who his father was. And to make matters worse, when he finally thinks he has found him, he finds out he passed away. And the family he believes he finally found denies all relationships with him.
So, Mr. Hoyer, please share. What was it like growing up without a father?
Your Honor, it was like hell growing up without a father. I was taken away when I was 3 and 9. I was in foster care for 14 years, got adopted when I was 14.
Wait, so his mother was a stripper, so that's why he has no idea who the father is. Wow, what a messed up childhood he had. And to make matters worse, apparently, the new boyfriend knew exactly who the father was. Let's get some more details on this.
So this is a photo of the man you were told is your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you look at this picture, do you see yourself?
I do in some ways. I see myself through the smile and through the forehead and the eyebrow.
They do look somewhat similar, I can't lie. But as we know, looks don't mean anything. Only DNA. And hold up, the alleged father on his deathbed mentioned he doesn't have any kids. Could this be true, or was he just hiding his kid? Let's get some more information.
He went over and asked my alleged uncle about the name, James Horn, and he's like, yes, that's my brother. So my adopted brother came and got me, took me over to his neighbors, and that's how I met him.
What was that encounter like? What happened? Take me step by step.
So that's how somehow he found out this man could possibly be his father. What a mess this all is. Some family members say he could be his kid, others say there's no chance. All this kid wants to know is who the father is, nothing else.
My son Arthur brought him in, and he said, I want you to see him. See, is this your grandson? And here's the word I said. I said no, because I hadn't heard it before. Because before my son left me, he said he didn't have any kids.
Mrs. Porter already said that she was pretty close to her late brother. If indeed he had a serious relationship with Mrs. Gentry, wouldn't he have mentioned it to his sister? Especially because Mrs. Gentry here claims they were in love.
It was a secret. I didn't even know I was really pregnant until I was 6 months. But like I have told my son, there is another man before this man.
Wait a minute, is Mrs. Gentry saying that she had sexual relations with another man during the time her son was conceived? That means two things. One, she cheated on the man she claims to have been in love with. Two, she's not certain Mr. Horn is her son's father.
When the first time we ever seen her was 2 weeks after the funeral. 2 weeks after my brother was put in the ground, this young lady came and knocked at my mother's door. She says, I have your brother's child.
So Miss Porter and her family sent Miss Gentry away with her little boy 20 years ago? That sounds a bit brutal. What if he turns out to be their blood? That's 23 years down the drain just because he didn't look like them. And there's even more.
Oh, well, they don't want to be a part of his life. I'm going to go contact the other gentleman.
No, I did not. I just walked out and I forgot all about it.
Okay.
Miss Gentry sounds so shady if you ask me. After she was sent away by Mr. Horn's family, she made no attempt to find her son's father. This would have made sense if she tried to be a good mother, but she did not attempt to do that too.
Told him anything about my brother? It was awful. She told him he was a crackhead. She told him he was a drunk. She told him he wasn't no good. My brother was an upstanding.
Did I ever tell you that?
Miss Gentry has been a terrible mother, spoon-feeding Mr. Hoyer lies about Mr. Horn. And we totally understand Mrs. Porter's anger because Mr. Hoyer deserves a family. He deserves love. And most of all, he deserves to know his father.
He won't have
Why
to
not?
deal with
I'll
you.
always be his
Because he
mother.
will get what's coming to him.
Why not? I always be his mother.
You might always be the mother, but you're not a mama. A mama. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but this is a lot on my chest.
That's right, Mrs. Porter. There's a huge difference between giving birth to a child and being that child's mother. And so far, so good. Mrs. Gentry has failed terribly at the latter. Let's see what Mrs. Gentry has to say.
You heard the whole
didn't bring
entire
this
family.
out.
He don't know
You
nothing
did.
about no aunts and uncles,
You need to come up
no
and take it up
grandparents.
again.
He don't know nothing.
Miss Horn, I have to ask you because as you can hear, this is a very passionate...
Mrs. Gentry isn't even the least bit apologetic. It seems like she was forced to be in court today, and she's not even trying to deny it. Minute after minute, we see how terrible a mother she is. But wait, there's more.
Do you feel that there's any possibility that he could be your grandchild?
It could be. I can't prove it, ma'am. I wish it was. I hope so.
You said you do hope so.
Now that Mrs. Porter admits that there's a resemblance between her late brother and Mr. Hoyer, you can tell that they really want him in their family, and maybe, just maybe, the late Mr. Horn lied to them about not having any kids.
That makes me believe that there's someone out there that will accept me. So hopefully I am James Horn's son, because I will actually have a place where I will be able to fit in.
We can see why he desperately wants the results to come out positive. It's been even more difficult for Mr. Hoyer to fit in because he is biracial. His mom did say she was from a racist family, so maybe she couldn't deal with being the mom of a biracial child.
You deserve that, sweetheart.
Yes,
you do.
Yes, he do.
I think it's time for the results.
Yes, he do.
Will Mr. Hoyer get his dream family, or will he have to continue his search for his father? The results are in, and we are about to get the biggest shock ever. Are you ready? Hang on to your seat because this gets crazy.
As it pertains to the likelihood of whether Mr. James Horn is your biological father, the DNA test results have determined that Mr. Horn is not likely your biological father.
Ms. Rawlings thinks that Mr. Kidd and his mom are trying to steal her kid from her, and she is not having it. Mr. Kidd and his mother, on the other hand, are certain Nathaniel is theirs. Let us get to the bottom of this thorny case.
You say Ms. Rawlings is a manipulative user who convinced you that you were the father of her son, Nathaniel, then changed her mind when someone better came along. You and your mother say Ms. Rawlings' mind games have
This is about to be one interesting case. How do you tell a girl you cannot have kids. Then all of a sudden, you're sure her child is yours. There's something off in this story, and we've got to find out ASAP, and there's more.
How it happened was we met through a mutual friend, and I didn't know anything about Mr. Kidd. Starting off, my mutual friend ended up leaving, and the situation that I was in, I didn't have anywhere to go. And that's how me and Mr. Kidd ended up.
Looks like one big love rectangle. Just how many people are involved in this story? Mr. Kidd, Ms. Rawlings, the mutual friend, the new lady. It's kind of hard to keep up. One thing we've gathered, though, is she was in a sexual relationship with Mr. Kidd and some other guy at the same time.
No, ma'am.
You just told him you were pregnant, and then somehow he assumed he was the father?
When I found out I was pregnant, Mr. Kidd told me himself that he has some type of rare form blood disease and that me and his child would die.
Well, the story's coming together now. Seems Mr. Kidd didn't really understand the disease, and because he's never gotten anyone pregnant, he thought Ms. Rawlings couldn't be pregnant for him. What a naive young man. But it doesn't end there.
So it wasn't just a sexual relationship?
No, ma'am. We were just, she just needed somewhere to stay. So I was just looking out for her, and it just became a sexual encounter.
It was an encounter?
More than one, but you know.
So that's what we call a sexual relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a form of a relationship where you have sex, but you have no commitment.
At least Mr. Kidd, his mother, and Ms. Rawlings agree on one thing. Mr. Kidd and Ms. Rawlings were in a strictly sexual relationship. There were no feelings attached, no love, nothing. They were just in that situation because they were living together.
Who got my son's baby pictures? She said, that's not your son. I said, yes, that is. I gave birth to him. I know who he is. She said, that's his son. And I was like, what? Hold on. No. Why am I just now hearing about this? So I contacted his friend who gave me.
It's beautiful to see how badly Ms. Jenkins wants the baby to be her son's, and also nice to know that she has shared beautiful moments with him. It's not every day you see grandmas like this on paternity court. And guess what? It gets even worse.
Here at the defendant podium, you say you know Mr. Kidd is not your child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a manipulation tactic.
It was as long as you were giving her what she wanted and needed at the time.
Now we're back in the maze. Baby Nathanel can't possibly look like everybody. At this point, it seems everyone is seeing what they want to see. And it's quite funny because it isn't all about the child's physical appearance.
I actually came to the hospital after I gave birth to Nathaniel, and they instantly, you seen it in his face and in Nathaniel's face, his face lit up. And even his brother was there and was like, yeah, man, that's your son.
It honestly feels like Ms. Rawlings is one lady who is easily persuaded. This person tells her her son looks like them, and she agrees. Someone else says the same thing, and she agrees. Make up your mind, sister.
She was going through a situation and got kicked out of where she lived because her choice of men are not just the greatest, I guess, in the world. He wasn't safe. She wasn't safe. She was trying to get her life together. She gave me the baby for a period of time.
The more she speaks, the more we see how confused Ms. Rawlings is. It's one thing to tell a man he's not the father of your son, and it's another thing to take advantage of his family's kindness and availability. It's unfair to keep manipulating them that way.
What is your assessment of this particular medical situation?
So I think there's two separate issues here. There was an issue about RH blood incompatibility.
Yes.
And that has to do with a mother and a baby, and if there's different blood types between the father of the baby, positive and negative.
Well, that is out of the way. It appears Mr. Kidd is very much able to father a child, which means he's back in the race for Nathaniel's paternity. And that's not even close to the end of this fiasco.
Your belief? Because when you came in, you don't really think he's the biological father.
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Jenkins and Mr. Kidd, if Nathaniel is proven not to be your biological child, grandchild, do you still want to maintain a relationship with him?
That makes sense because he was never in a relationship with Ms. Rawlings. If the child turns out not to be his, they'd have nothing tying them together. This is one insane case, and it gets even worse. Let's see.
As much as I can, but I couldn't take care of him as if he was my child.
All right, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready for the results. Jerome?
Well, Judge, we've also had enough. Who is Nathaniel's dad, Mr. Kidd or the other guy somewhere? What do you think? This is one very complicated case, but the test results will hopefully resolve it once and for all.
Mr. Kidd, you are the father. You are the father.
Thank you.
And at least even the fact that he said that he would have stood up, that was what I was still going for, period. The fact that that is his son, I am happy because me and him, we don't have a hate type relationship.
Mr. Cooper and his mother believe Armani, his last child with his wife, isn't his. But his wife, Ms. Cooper, is confident he's Armani's father and is uncomfortable with how much her mother-in-law meddles in their marriage. Let us find out more details about this case.
So today you are here to break the cycle because another of your sons, Mr. Cooper, has a child whose paternity is also in question. Now, Mr. Cooper, you say your wife, Mrs. Cooper, was secretly sleeping with you and another man around the same time she conceived your daughter.
Yet again, we have a lady versus mama and son type of case. But this time around, it's a married couple in question. Why does Mr. Cooper think baby Armani isn't his? Let's find out what this case is about.
The first time I had an inclination that something was going on, I was actually working and I got sent home early. There was a power outage. They sent us home.
Wow. So Mrs. Cooper brought another man into her marital home and lied that her husband didn't live there. That's one bold move. And he must have been there several times while Mr. Cooper was at work.
Walter has cheated on me so much that at that time, what I did was I wanted Walter to feel all the pain that he had inflicted on me all them years. We've been off and on for 9 years.
Your husband cheated on you, and the best way you could handle it was to cheat too? His actions hurt her and the kids, and she thought the best way to correct that was to hurt him back. That is one absurd conflict resolution technique, and it doesn't even ADD up.
Talking is one thing, ignoring you is one thing, but if you feel like you gotta step out your marriage to get added attention or a conversation, then just get a divorce.
Understandably, she wanted Wante's divorce, and he didn't. But a marriage is a marriage. A marriage is supposed to be sacred, and when it turns into a tit-for-tat scheme, it'll keep going down, down, down till it's destroyed.
After that particular incident, I thought we were getting things back in order, okay?
After this incident with the cheating, you say in your mind, okay, we've confronted it, it's out on the table, let's just try to start over.
Mrs. Cooper's admitting that she saw other people while separated from her husband explains why the family is in court today. Now, we're beginning to see why Mr. Cooper and his mom think the baby is for someone else.
I know who the other guy is.
Okay.
When I actually had a chance to meet him, we would sit down, talk, we hang out, things of this stuff.
You and the guy she cheated with?
Me and the guy that she cheated with.
Of all the men she could possibly cheat with, Mrs. Cooper chose her husband's friend. That must have been a punch in his gut when he found out. And guess what? This case gets even more complicated.
My concern is this. When I look at Armani, I don't see me.
So, Miss Cooper, I see you're very emotional.
When I conceived, I was with Walter. We both went to the doctors and...
Sir, when we look at Armani, we don't see you either. Fine, he has white blood in his ancestry and all, but this baby does not look like Mr. Cooper. We understand why he and his mother are not convinced. However, we must always remember that paternity is hardly ever about skin tone or resemblance, and it's more about the DNA.
So, Mr. Cooper, you signed the birth certificate.
Yes, I did.
And at that time, you said, I'm going to be her father. Did you have any doubt?
I've had a doubt.
Aside from the subject of race, Mr. Cooper and his mom are disturbed by Miss Cooper's infidelity. Armani coming out looking all white was only the cherry on top. It reinforced their belief that the pregnancy was for someone else.
Issues of what's going on with me because I'm feeling like I can't write a song. I'm having problems in my own personal business life. I bring it to my wife and I tell her this is what the situation is. We tend to, I brought it to you.
Hold up. Mr. Cooper met Mrs. Cooper when she was pregnant by another man? Who? That means that he stepped up as the father of that child and married her. And since then, they raised the boy together, along with their other kids. And now it seems like it's happening again.
I believe in my heart that that's his. That's his baby.
And as you look at her, do you see?
I see him
Mr.
in
Cooper?
her. If you look at her face, her eyes change colors just like his does.
Mrs. Cooper seems very confident, but what does the way the baby sleeps have to do with anything? That piece of detail is inconsequential to the matter at hand, which is a very one issue because Mr. Cooper's about to find out if he's been taking care of a child that isn't his for the second time.
So as my son, you took on this responsibility, then respect your wife needs to respect you, and they all need to love their kids. And that's how I feel about it.
You know what, Ms. Moore?
Well, Grandma's right on point, and it's time to put an end to this debate. Is Armani a product of Mr. and Mrs. Cooper's marriage, or is she a product of infidelity? Well, the test results will definitely shock you. Let's find out.
Mr. Cooper, you are not her father.
You know I still love you. This is something you all gonna have to work through. Listen to me, Ashley. Hold your head up. You have children that now you have to stand up and be a real mother. You have a little girl, and you cannot.
Ms. Reinhardt believes that Ms. Crow claims her late son, J.C. Turner, is her baby daddy just so she can get death benefits. However, Ms. Crow says her son Thomas is a result of the love she and J.C. shared while he was alive. Let us find out more.
Ms. Crow, you have summoned the defendant to court to prove that her deceased son, J.C. Turner, fathered your 2-year-old son, Thomas. You want Thomas to know who his father is, and you say that Ms. Reinhardt has done everything she can to sabotage your efforts. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's always difficult to get through a case where the alleged father is dead because we don't get to hear his side of the story. Now, all we've got is what his mom knows or what she thinks she knows.
Then just the money. I would like help with my son, yes, of course, but my son cannot grow up and meet his father. So he deserves that right to know who his father is and to know who his family is.
And to this point, he doesn't have any real knowledge of his father. You have not talked to him about his father, or have you?
It's nice of Miss Crow to give father and son the opportunity to bond over the phone, but I'm curious to find out the rest of the story. How did JC's mom know nothing about this? Well, there is only one way to find out.
I understand.
My son and I had a very tight relationship, and Jay would tell me everything when nobody else was around. I knew my son inside and out, and I just don't, as a mother, as a grandmother, having 4 babies of my own.
Looks like it's going to be a tough one because Ms. Reinhardt isn't even on the fence about it. She is totally confident the baby is not her grandchild. But why? How could she possibly be so sure?
Became inseparable. We, developed, feelings, and it did happen all too fast. He did ask me to be his girlfriend, and we did have unprotected sex as well, so.
Although her relationship with JC was fast-paced, the progression was pretty normal. 2 people met, fell in love, slept together, and the woman got pregnant. Mrs. Crow's story is quite convincing.
He told him the sky was purple.
Well, that's your own opinion. That's your own opinion.
The mental capacity of a 16-year-old.
And this okay, and you know what? He had feelings.
He was schizophrenic.
He had feelings.
He was schizophrenic, and he had stress seizures.
Now, this is hilarious for so many reasons. Ms. Reinhardt's little technique to identify her grandkids is just ridiculous. Besides, the pictures look identical, don't they? That baby looks like grandma to me. But again, we cannot be so sure.
Silly sense of humor like Jay. He likes to dance like Jay. And, just right there, you can see it. Like his hair, that is Jay. And, there are things about him that are a lot like me.
Ms. Reinhardt says the baby doesn't look like her, and Ms. Crow's like, that's okay because the baby looks like his father. Even though both metrics don't matter in the long run, Ms. Crow currently has the upper hand.
I have a bowed left leg. My daughter has a bowed left leg. JC was pigeon-toed from birth. So JC lived being severely pigeon-toed.
Here we go again with all the features. Can we please cut to the chase and be serious for once? This is no joking matter. This grandma needs to understand that the case is more serious than this.
He told everybody that we would come across, friends, even people we didn't know he had conversations with. She's pregnant with my baby. He's really happy. He's excited. He never denied my child. And I knew for a fact that, he's the father because I haven't been with anybody else. I was only with him in that time frame.
Ms. Crow made a good choice in breaking up with JC for the safety of herself and her 2 other kids. But how come nobody mentioned these kids until now? Guess they're not so relevant to the case.
Of another man.
My boyfriend. That's not his father. He was Jamaican. Does he look half Jamaican? And, I lost my father the same year my son lost his father.
You can tell Ms. Reinhardt is trying so hard to look for proof that the baby's not JC. pregnancies. Now, she brings up the issue of Ms. Crow's Jamaican boyfriend when the baby doesn't even look the least bit Jamaican.
I guess the question then becomes, why is your pursuit different in death than it was in life?
What?
Meaning, after the death, you had the means, the time, the wherewithal.
Now that is one tough question. You broke up with the man and he only hung out with his son once. You had 9 months before he passed, but didn't do anything until you saw his obituary?
I didn't even know when the baby was born because I wasn't contacted.
Jay knew.
Jay knew. He's
knew.
Supposedly the alleged father, not.
It don't have to be alleged because we're gonna find out today.
So
You're gonna see for yourself.
Yes.
It is glaring how much these two women can't stand themselves. And it is sad because they're losing sight of what matters at the moment, the baby. Their arguments are both valid, but the baby's paternity is at stake.
How do you lose track of it?
That's your son.
He was mad with me because he believed that I was stealing his money. I was the one making sure his bills were paid.
Good question, because we can't push all the blame on Ms. Crow. Ms. Reinhardt was his mother at the end of the day. And if indeed he had the mental capacity of a 16-year-old, how did she leave him all alone?
And this is serious because JC is gone now.
Yeah,
he's no longer with us, but this baby, who's potentially his biological child, is here, 2 years old. Only seen his father one time.
The two women could keep going on and on and on, but there's no time for that. It's time to see what the results say, so Ms. Crow will know if she's getting those death benefits or not. Please read the results out, Judge Lake, and let us resolve this case once and for all.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Reinhardt and Thomas Crow is 99.6% you are related. That is your grandchild. Ms. Reinhardt, you have never laid eyes on your grandchild. Ms.
Nothing but
Crow,
picture.
I have to ask you, would it be okay